Hello, and welcome back to Elevate, a Women's Leadership Institute podcast. We kicked off this podcast to celebrate our 10 years, a decade of impact, brought to you by Pat Jones, by Nicole Carpenter, and by all those who have worked with us over the years, to tell the story of women in the pipeline, to tell the story of companies who have done things to retain women like CHG and their really intentional focus on maternal leave and policies to bring women back afterwards. Companies like Larry H. Miller and all the work that they have done. We had Sarah Starkey on and Jenny Teamsma, who came on and shared their experiences at Larry H. Miller. Really amazing companies. Ken Garf, who sends women to our leadership series, our career development, and our Rising Leader series, so that those women are prepared and have the opportunity to practice leadership in all the different spheres that they find themselves. We've loved featuring our alumni from over a decade. We have over 1,000 alumni throughout the state, how they've gone back into their companies and tapped women on the shoulder and said, hey, I think this is a really good opportunity for you. Or we hear the stories of how they've applied for new positions or worked to be promoted. One of my very favorite stories is from Pluralsight. When we went there for our career development series, we were talking about how do you engage with your manager? How do you create a path for you? How do you help them talk to you so that it's a synergistic relationship? And the manager just said to this lady, where do you want to be? And she said, actually, I want your job. And he said, that's great. I'm here right now, but here are the things we can do to help you be prepared for when I get promoted or when I leave. And that story in and of itself really is the work of the Women's Leadership Institute. Right? Getting people prepared to have those conversations without any shame, without any blame, without any ego, but just helping us all to be in situations that can make us all thrive and do our best. So as we recapped last time, me and Pat and Nicole wrapped up our decade, wrapped up the podcast series for a decade, and now we're ready to launch into a new year of what is the intersection of gender, leadership, and the workplace. How do you build trust in teams? What are the leadership stories and skills that are being overlooked that really could amplify women's stories in the state? And how do we get more men on board? These are the things that we'll be talking about upcoming. We've got a lot of things in our future. We will be talking with Jeanette Bennett, who just started her job as the Utah face of Colliers. That will be coming up next week. We will also be talking about the startup initiative in the state and the Olympics and different things that are happening and how that will position companies throughout the state and the women who work for them. So until then, we hope you know how much we care about you, how these stories that we tell matter, because we hope that you're able to claim your story in the things that you hear here. We want you to know that we have leadership programs and we'd like you to come to them, whether it's our political development series, whether it's Rising Leaders, you're an individual contributor and you want to know how to find your voice and move up in promotion, whether you're already mid-level with career development series and you want to know how to understand how to manage people better. How are you perceived? How are they perceived? How do you work together to get the most output? And then we kicked off the next chapter. So we launched 4 programs in the time that we have not been here with you. And it has been a ride, but it is a beautiful ride and one that we're privileged to be on. Also, we will announce that Pat Jones will be retiring in June. So after a decade with the Women's Leadership Institute, her strong leadership, both professionally and in the political world, I'm sure she'll still be around. But if you know of any woman that would be a great fit to move this legacy forward, please tap them on the shoulder and let them know that you think they'd be a great fit. And until then, until we see you next time, believe in yourself and claim whatever all those strengths are that you have. And we'll talk to you soon.